this week we wrote about crypto M&A because we see that things are heating up. Nucoin is a cryptocurrency of Nu that is basically tokenized coins. And this confirms something that we've discussed a lot in Frontera, that Brazilian people and Brazilian companies are the most DGens in the region, definitely. I think that that's actually a really catchy title, like infinite selling pressure in fiat currency. I really think that we are the only ones that are discussing this in the industry, and this is a super relevant topic. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Frontera, where we analyze crypto insights from frontier markets. I'm Ab, co-founder and CEO of Bando, and I'm here with Joker. Joker is our great analyst. If you read our newsletters every week, he's doing all the research. So, Joker, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about you, Ab? Where are you right now?
I'm currently in Barcelona doing some remote work. And this week, Kush couldn't be here. He's flying, he's on the move. And so that's why Joker is doing the substitution for him. And where are you, man? You're in Mexico, right?
Yeah, I'm at home in the best city in the world, Tampico.
Yeah, amazing. Tampico is known to be protected by aliens. That's like the pop culture thing. So it's a great, well, fun city. And dude, let's start first with this Frontera news that we have a new branding. This is something that we've been working. The way that we execute things in Espacio Crypto Bando and Frontera is that we iterate, we run experiments, and then we scale the ones that make sense. And Frontera is one of those experiments one of those things that started as an experiment and now makes a lot of sense. We have our subscription base is growing. We're recording some of the best podcasts. Next week we're gonna publish a podcast with Zach from Bridge that is one of the best, I think. And this is something that we've been working for some time. Tell us about the new brand. It's really cool, I think.
The thesis behind the new brand is that Frontera first covered Latin American markets and Latin American news, and it didn't make sense to stick only to regional news if innovation occurred all around the world. And if something happened in Turkey or in Japan, it didn't make sense that we couldn't cover it because it was not our focus. So we went global and we're now covering all of frontier markets. And I really, really like the new branding, and shout out to Bure, who's our magician down in the Figma trenches. So it's great.
Yeah, definitely. I really like it. And so let's keep moving to the essay that we published this week. This is something that you and I discussed, and for everyone listening, the process that we follow to write these essays is that every Monday around 10 a.m., Joker and I meet. We do like the bullets of the essay, and then he goes into the trenches. That dude, your setup looks like you are really in the trenches, so really in brand with what you're doing. And basically Joker writes the essay and we then do a back and forth providing some feedback. And this week we wrote about crypto M&A, because specifically in frontier markets, because we see that things are heating up. The acquisition of Privy, the acquisition of Bridge, also Monad acquiring Portal. So there's a lot of M&A going around, and we analyze those basic acquisitions, like the also Robinhood acquiring Bitstamp, and now it's we start analyzing what could be the type of acquisitions that happen in Latin America. So there's a couple. Let's start. The first one is stablecoin issuers. So there are these companies like Minteo, like Etherfuse, also Bitso, and we see that maybe some big company, maybe Circle or Tether, could buy one of these. That's one of our theses. After the research, what do you think? What do you think on this category on stablecoin issuers?
Well, what I wrote there is that emerging markets need liquid, compliant, and local currency stablecoins, and it's part of our broader stablecoin thesis that we talked about here at Frontera. And there's a bunch of articles we wrote about that. And the thing is, for stablecoins to be truly global, there needs, and for to on-chain effects, which is the new term that it's being brought about everywhere, there needs to be the other pairs to trade the US dollar with, and this is MXN or BRL and GOP. So there needs to be local stablecoins that complement the US dollar. And well, the companies we mentioned there are the biggest issuers. So it makes sense for a bigger player like Tether or Circle to buy one of these issuers and expand their stack.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the stablecoin sandwich thesis. You
Yeah.
need both assets on chain to make it really efficient. So that's one of our guesses, maybe in M&A in Latin America or in emerging markets, in frontier markets. The second one is something like a local wallet. And here's really, this is an interesting category because local wallets, if you think of something as MetaMask or Coinbase in both extremes of the spectrum, buying a local player, it might not make a lot of sense. But when you analyze it from two standpoints, first, having local rails and compliance could accelerate go to market. And the second one, acquihires. I bet on acquihires in frontier markets. Why? Because it's been a historic trend that whenever someone wants to enter a market, they need local intel and they need local professional intel. And the best people building that might be founders. So I see something like maybe, I don't know, a global wallet buying someone like Lemon Cash or Meru. It could be, I don't know, MetaMask Phantom Sirion or exchanges or maybe fintechs. That's the other play. A fintech that wants to expand, like a local fintech, big fintech like Mercado Pago or Nubank, wanting to expand into crypto. Maybe in this process of building versus buying, they could go the buying way and buy some of these local players.
Yeah, for sure. And it's part of the thesis that we have also at Espacio Crypto that when bigger companies want distribution in local areas and that when they want to work in communities that they're not experts of, they need to target the local players. That's why bigger brands and the partnerships we have coming up at Espacio Crypto are with us, because we're deep in the regional trenches and we know the people, we know the community, we know the users. So it just makes sense to go that way.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Then the third category that we see, I'm only gonna mention three. If you want to read the fourth and all the analysis, you should subscribe to the newsletter. And the third category that we analyzed is on B2B payments, and this is such an obvious one. Well, for us that we are basically here all time building B2B payments, that this is the companies that are doing payment orchestration or that they are doing institutional or B2B on off ramping. I personally see this play really clear where something like Visa, MasterCard, or Stripe, with all the Stripe bears that they're building with Privy and Bridge.
Bridge.
This is something that I chat with Zach from Bridge this week. They could be buying something like maybe Kappa or Blind Pay or Alfred or Ridian. I see that this might be one of the acquisitions that could happen in the next 12 months.
Yeah, and again, it just makes sense. If we see Stripe building out their crypto stack, and if they're missing an on-chain of on-off ramp, why wouldn't they buy it? They have the cash and they want
Yeah,
to expand, and they believe in the broader thesis that the world will move on chain.
yeah. And something that I see is that maybe something like MasterCard or Visa buys this type of companies to expand their crypto capabilities as a whole, or Stripe to expand their local integrations around the world, because these companies are starting to move several millions of dollars. We are recording with Blind Pay soon also, so it's going to be an interesting approach to analyze how they've been growing, what's their thesis. And dude, now let's move on the news of the week. We have several ones. The first one, that's something that we've discussed in the past, is that a new coin was launched several years ago, around 2021, and then they deprecated the project. New coin is the cryptocurrency of Nu that is basically tokenized points. So whenever a user bought something in Brazil, they started experimenting on giving them new coin, and those coins could be traded for some rewards. So there's this news that Nucoin is launching again the sorry Nubank is launching again this rewards program called Nucoin. So it's an interesting approach because when they launched initially Nucoin, it was the era of, I don't know, like ICOs, or was post ICO, but it was a lot of the maybe like the governance token hype and all of that. So whenever a company, like a centralized company, launched a token, it was kind of weird. And now they are experimenting with this again, and this confirms something that we've discussed a lot in Frontera, that Brazilian people and Brazilian companies are the most DGens in the region, definitely.
And what I found interesting about the article is that the previous new coin was tradable and people bought it to speculate on like if it became their main coin. And now this one, it says that it's untradeable and purely used for utility rewards, which they say that are like access to buying tickets for concerts or discounts on their merchants inside the app, and also that they can have surprise chests with rewards. And I found that funny because they're gamifying even more the experience, which is already
Yeah.
what they have in Nubank with the Cajita Nu and the points and the yield. And I see it as them gamifying the experience to retain their users, to give them more dopamine, and to become the best player in the banking space.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Nubank is one of the best fintech companies in
Yeah.
the world, and they are innovating here. So really interesting to see that it's gonna be launched in Brazil to begin with, and then maybe expanded. The next news is just a really quick one. That is the stock exchange in Brazil will extend the trading hours for Bitcoin futures. Well, the futures of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, starting on October. And we just wanted to include this quick news because we see that this is a clear reaction to competing versus the blockchain. If
Yeah.
in the blockchain you can trade futures 24/7, and in a centralized player in the stock exchange of Brazil you can't, basically they have like a big deficiency versus doing these same products on the blockchain. So it's an interesting analysis to see stock exchanges moving on chain or trying to emulate how the on chain market works. And that has to do a lot also with the recent news that happened just a couple of hours ago about Project Crypto, that it's basically the opposite or the pendulum swing to Operation Choke Point, where the US is wants to make like the blockchain the next platform, financial platform of the world and of the US. Also, I've been talking a lot of things that I chatted with Zach from Bridge, but he talks a lot about a platform change. And this is it. I mean, this like isolated news on Brazil combined with the Project Crypto of the US, I think it makes a lot of sense that we're gonna start seeing companies and different infrastructure providers in frontier markets doubling down on this thesis of crypto infrastructure.
Yeah, and I like to believe the idea that tech always finds a way. And it's what I see here with these two news, that if the blockchain enables all kinds of benefits and it's farly superior and greater than the traditional services that we have right now, it doesn't make any sense to stick to those antiquated traditional services instead of changing to the new technology, which is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and moving along, some other news that we want to discuss. This is a combination a little bit of the new news, and also this part about stock exchanges is that Bitso announced this new initiative called Bitso on Chain. This is my read. As you know, I worked at Bitso. I was the head of crypto there for 3 years, and back then we discussed a lot about building like a Web3 initiative, like that was basically all focused around crypto. Uh, so this is when you go to the landing page, what you read is discover everything, trade anything, zero friction, trade 10,000 plus tokens across all major blockchains instantly, zero gas fees, secure self custody, no seed phrases. So this is the iteration of the Bitso wallet, the Bitso Web3 wallet, that I personally believe it was a bad product. It was embedded the traditional Bitso product. It was really hard to discover. The experience was no better than MetaMask, and MetaMask is like not the best wallet today, really. And so I think that this is their Bitso's bet on doing something like a Coinbase wallet. If you go to onchain.bitso.com, you see a join waitlist button. What's your read on this? Like we were discussing about this before recording the podcast, so I'd love to hear your take, Joker.
First of all, I love the logo that it's like the Bitso logo, but instead of the B, they just left the circle and it's a no. But going through the site, like I think it's kind of confusing for a new user because it doesn't say what the product is. Like it could be a DEX, it could be a wallet, it could be an application, and it's kind of not clear. But it looks good, it looks functional. From the images, the UX looks good. My only doubt is that we're seeing Bitso move heavily and bet on their B2B business, and this is the extreme end of the other spectrum, like targeting DGens. And like to me, I don't know if it's the right play for them. I don't have all the information, but my read is that they're keeping all of their bases covered and they're targeting all of the stack.
Yeah, I completely agree because when you read and go through the landing page, it's absolutely directed towards DGens. It's a wallet where you can see market, trade, rewards, and portfolio in the tabs of the product. And then this seems like they're launching something like really seriously because they are doing a whole new Twitter, a whole new Instagram. I know the Instagram sends people to the same one, and a new Telegram group. So it seems that they are the user persona that this product is built for is DGens. And
Yeah.
the problem with those products is that DGens, they are competing versus Sirion, versus Coinbase Wallet, versus Phantom. So it's a weird bet. I think it's a weird bet. Instead of doubling down in the dominated market, they are trying to go global. That's how I see it. And I don't know. I'd love to see how this evolves, but I consider it just a weird bet.
Yeah, same. So let's go to the next news. And I like now that with the rebranding, we're covering all frontier markets. So any country is welcome if they have good news.
Yeah, exactly. And this week, we have some news around in Japan. So in Japan, the news this week is that they are doing a tax overhaul for crypto investors. So before this overhaul, taxes in Japan were like a progression, like some brackets depending on the amount that you got, that it could go up to 55% of taxes. And now the important thing of this is that they are recategorizing crypto assets as financial assets like stocks or bonds. And they can, if they fit into this category, it's a flat tax of 20% on capital gains. So I consider that a win because it gives more clarity about what is crypto, what are these assets, and also it simplifies taxes for
Yeah.
everyone, or well, everyone in Japan.
Yeah, no, exactly. But that's part of the problems with crypto, and like regular people don't know how to treat these assets because essentially they're not regulated. So any kind of regulation that's positive is a win for the space and a win for all countries once they figure out how they should really approach this kind of stuff and to look at other countries and leading by example.
Yeah, yeah. And also moving along, some news in Asia. Okay, this is one of the most interesting news of the week, I think. The headline reads: Bank of Korea to launch virtual asset committee to monitor crypto. Okay, when you go down, you see the main thing that's happening is that it seems that they are refocusing their CBDC team to be around crypto monitoring. And when you read what they are gonna monitor, is they are gonna lead discussions related to stablecoins and virtual assets, and cooperatively work with the government during this process. So this is my read. Recently, some weeks ago, we reported in Frontera that the Korean bank, central bank, wanted to impose some like capital controls or some limits to withdraw crypto, specifically stable coins, and that basically fits part of our analysis on stable coins. That obviously everyone in the US is super bullish about
Yeah.
stablecoins because it's the best way to export their debt, one, and two, keep dollar dominance. So when you see that, there's always an inverted thesis of that. And what's the inversion of that? The inversion of that is that stablecoins could be really a threat for local currencies because if there's infinite demand for stablecoins, it means that it's infinite selling pressure for the Korean won or the yen or the Mexican peso. And how would governments react to this? Creating groups to monitor how stablecoins are developing, and eventually, if this plays out just like if it was a script written by us, one scenario is central banks trying not to ban but to control stablecoins. And I, I really don't see anyone talking about that. Everyone is like, yeah, let's fucking go stablecoins, but they're not seeing the other side of the coin.
Yeah, no, because when we had the interview with the guest episode with Aaron from Brazil Crypto Report, he told us that 20% of Brazil's money capital flows out of the country are done via stablecoins now. So that's, like you said, infinite sell pressure on their local currency, and it's because people prefer the dollar to their local currency because it's a better way to save their money and to avoid the local depreciation. So it's a really huge problem that no one is talking about, and something that we're gonna discuss on this week's newsletter that you should definitely go check it out. And I think it's gonna be the best one yet.
Yeah, I think that that's actually a really catchy title, like infinite selling pressure in in fiat currencies. So I really think that we are the only ones that are discussing this in the industry, and this
Yeah.
is a super relevant topic. Yeah, so moving along, there's some news in Hong Kong, so you should read the newsletter to know what's happening in Hong Kong. It's also around stablecoins, but I want to move to more stablecoins. That is this chart. This chart posted by Cointelegraph, that is a chart created by Bitwise. That in this chart it analyzes that transaction volume in Q1 of 2025, stablecoin transaction volume in Q1 2025 doubled Visa's volume. So when you read that, is like the classical middle curve take. Is like, yeah, let's fucking go stablecoins. But also, I think that I want to analyze this other topic. So I think that we are getting to a max. How do I say this? Like the hype around stablecoins is in its peak right now. So this type of charts. So when you analyze Google Trends worldwide, the peak of stablecoin interest was in May 8th, 2022. That was around Terra Luna's crash. But now we're getting to a hype in stablecoins in the United States. And so why do I mention this? Yeah, we're super bullish on stablecoins, but as we are covering other markets that are not only the US, it's really important for the crypto community to look at this. Hype stablecoins, the top hype is in the US, not global. Global hype is really close, and it's in its greatest moment, because when it was at its peak, it was Terra Luna that was something terrible for the industry. So I just want us all to be like chill about this. And what I mean is like, guys, like, let's not fuck it up. We've done this several times. We didn't make it with NFTs. We didn't make it with ICOs. We didn't make it with DeFi was great, but also was super hyped. So let's be chill in a sense of build stablecoin companies, but build them for the long run, because this is the new set of financial infrastructure. These are not JPEGs on chain or meme coins. I mean, this could be really revolutionary, and we need to be super mindful about that and just double down on it mindfully and disrupt all the banks and all of that things that we've been trying for a long time. But just let's keep an eye on overhyping stablecoins.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's really, really important. And one thing I'd like to mention is that when writing the essay, I was doing research and found Standard Charter's predictions, and well, they're all really, really inflated. But they say that stablecoins are crypto's ChatGPT moment, which is what will make us truly global and what, for me, will bring the first billion users on chain. And I think you're right. And all this positive regulation is just increasing adoption and making it easier for people to join us.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And also, I think that it's really cool to have all this. When it's really interesting that when we talk stablecoins, we talk USD denominated
Yeah.
stablecoins, and yeah, that's the most important market and everything. But when you have all this platform change on money from fiat on centralized ledgers to stablecoins, we need to take a look on what's the downside. So I think that the essay that we're posting on Tuesday, it's something that you and I've been cooking for some months. We've
Well,
discussed it
Friday we're
for,
posting it.
oh,
when
sorry,
you
Friday,
listen
Friday.
to when you listen to this, the first part is gonna go live.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right on Friday. And also uh, something really important is that we've been working and thinking about this for some time. This is the best essay of Frontera yet. And dude, well, Joker, thank you for writing such a great content. I think that we're doing a great team, like building these things. And also, uh, Frontera is my favorite content I've ever done. So, and that's in great part because of you, the
Yeah.
way that you write, the research. So, dude, just a prize moment. Thank you for all the hard work you're putting in this.
No, thank you, Ab. It's the best part of my day when writing the Frontera essays, and I really enjoy doing them because it's things people don't talk about and insights people don't really know. So it's just doing our job and communicating this to the world.
Amazing, man. Well, um, so excited for what's coming. We're publishing the best essay ever in Frontera, then one of the best episodes yet with Zach from Bridge. We are launching a really, really cool party for the stablecoin conference in Mexico. I cannot tell more about that because you'll you'll hear about it soon. And well, you can find Joker as Joker with a zero instead of OXBT. Abraham CR, and follow Frontera, subscribe to the newsletter. Thank you for everything, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.